Roger Holliday. I'm from, like, originally. I mean,
where do you call
this is home, Alexander City. I've moved here 3 times. I was with Russell Corp for 22 years, and now I'm with Russell Lance. I was headed to New York. Actually, I was supposed to have been there going up the night before on the 10th, and had a meeting at the World Trade Center on September the 11th at 10:30 or 11. I can't remember exactly, but it was sort of late morning. And I had another meeting that I got shamed into, and so I had to postpone and go up on Tuesday morning, and the 11th. And flew out of Atlanta on Delta, flew into LaGuardia, or intended to, and just as we were cleared for landing, pilot pulled us back up, and he said that an airplane had hit one of the World Trade Center towers. And honestly, nobody really flinched. I think everybody kind of envisioned that it was probably a small plane or an ultralight or something unfortunate accident, but not a big deal. He didn't sound excited about it. And about 20 minutes later, we're still circling LaGuardia, and he came on, and I remember distinctly because he used the term airliner. And he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, a second airliner has just flown into the second World Trade Center." Well, suddenly everybody kind of perks up and murmur on the plane. And he said, in fact, if you'll look out of the left side of the airplane, you can see the World Trade Centers are on fire. And I don't understand airplanes, but if we'd been a boat, it would have turned over, because obviously everybody looked to that side of the plane. I was in the aisle seat on the right side, and so I leaned forward to look out, and I saw the 2 towers with the trails of smoke that I've now seen 1,000,000 times on television. Well, we were diverted to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. We landed, oddly enough, the runway technically wasn't long enough for the aircraft that we were on, apparently. And so they had us assume crash positions. And of course, everybody's excited by now. And, you've got your head down, and I couldn't help myself when I felt the wheels touch tarmac. I looked out the window, and we were just surrounded by emergency vehicles. And that was just obviously a false alarm, but we deboarded the plane. There were policemen, and I guess some kind of, armed officials were everywhere. And of course, as soon as you could turn your cell phone on those days, the old flip phone, and I had like 10, 12 messages, and most of them were from my wife. The first one was pretty nonchalant. "Hey, give me a call when you get on the ground." And it sort of peaked off with a little bit of a freaked out, "Hey, I got to talk to you. Tell me what's going on. Call me right now." And then the last message I had was from the guy that I was supposed to meet, a guy named David Leibowitz with American Securities in New York. And David was like, "Don't know if you're in the city. If you are, don't come into the city. If you're not, just stay away. We'll talk later." So long story short, got in the rental car line and got the last rental car, which was a Lincoln Continental Hertz rental car, and drove all the way home. Oddly enough, the guy at the counter was telling us, "Don't go down I-95, don't go through Washington," because obviously all that news was unfolding and breaking. So we went out western Pennsylvania. We're probably gone 15 minutes, and they come on the radio, the actual radio, and said, "If you are in whatever county it was in Pennsylvania, please don't use your cell phone to save the bandwidth for emergency vehicles." And sure enough, within 5 minutes, we were surrounded by all kind of emergency vehicles, and you can look at it on a map. I think we were within 6, 7 miles of where the plane actually went down in Harrisburg. Flew home, drove home all night. I made it as far as Chattanooga, and there were 2 ladies in the car. I knew one, I didn't know the other, and one of them drove the rest of the way. I took them to their cars in Atlanta airport. I dropped the keys off in the slot at Hertz, and I walked all the way from the rental car back to where I was parked. And it was the eeriest thing in the world because I never saw another human being. All the gates were up and open. Never heard an airplane at Atlanta Airport. And we were living in Atlanta at the time when I got home that morning, was the first time that I saw it on television. It was bizarre because obviously, by 4 in the morning, I talked to my wife and my kids and my family and everybody. We knew what was going on. They were reporting it on the radio. But the enormity of it, if that's even a word, just crashed. When I turned that television on that morning at my house and saw it, I mean, I just burst into tears because it was like you were just reacting in the moment, or I was reacting in the moment all day, and then suddenly had a chance to kind of figure out what it really happened, and it was a sobering experience, to say the least.